Hey there, it's Steve from Serious Keto, and this is the Not So Serious Keto video podcast on a Wednesday instead of a Monday. I'm glad that when I made my little comeback video, that I warned everybody that my shooting schedule and my release schedule were likely going to be a little screwed up. Or maybe the more positive spin on that, we'll call it fluid, a little more fluid, because it's already screwed up. I thought that maybe I could get back to my standard schedule this week of Monday podcast, Wednesday review video, Friday cooking video, but somehow I managed to get sick after my trip to Utah. For like the first time in 2 years, I was starting to kind of feel a little bit invincible. But I'm guessing it was probably something on the plane, because being on a plane, this tiny little tube with a couple of hundred other people, it's probably right up there with the ball pit at Chuck E. Cheese's for a place to hang out and get sick. So I wound up starting to feel, and this was, I think, the day before Thanksgiving, started to feel the swelling in my lymph nodes. My nose started getting puffy and itchy. I was sneezing a lot. It was kind of weird. And then I started getting a little bit achy and weak as well. But then also because Thanksgiving was at my house and I was making some smoked turkey and smoked duck, I had to shovel off our deck to make a path out to my smoker. And I think actually, this is my theory anyway, I am safer when snow is heavy, because then I'm really thinking about lifting with my legs. I'm not trying to go super fast. The snow was kind of light, so I was like going super fast, and I think I torqued my core, because I have been in pain more or less since then, kind of lower back in through the ribs, and it's a muscular sort of a feel. It's familiar to me from previous shoveling mishaps. So essentially, I've spent the better part of a week not 100%, either feeling kind of sick, like a head cold. I did take a COVID test. It wasn't COVID, but having this thing going on with my lymph nodes, my nose and everything. Like my nose was really swollen up and red, and I look like Carl Malden, for those of you old enough. And I think based on the demographics of my channel, most of you are, you know who I'm talking about. But then the back, it's been misery. So that is finally started to clear up. The rest of my health, feeling pretty good again. So I was going to say long story short, but it's way too late for that. Shooting schedule kind of screwed up this week. So we've got the podcast today. Tomorrow will be the Keto Chow December unboxing and reveal of their mystery flavor. And then Friday, hopefully a cooking video if my schedule doesn't get screwed up. If not a cooking video, I've already recorded a video where I test out purple rice. It's this variant of rice that was created at, I think, Louisiana State University, that is supposed to not have an impact on your blood glucose. So I thought, this would be interesting. Let's do that. And hopefully I'm remaining poker-faced enough that you don't know what the results are. So that is either going to happen this Friday, either a glucose video or the cooking video. If I don't get a cooking video this week, first I'm going to be sad because it's been so long and I miss doing those. But we will absolutely 100% cross my heart have one next week unless something absolutely catastrophic happens. So that is an update on the schedule. Now, you may have also been noticing right now and been distracted by the fact that I've got sort of this makeshift bandage here and makeshift bandage here. And that's because I literally just got home minutes ago from the tattoo parlor. My tattoo guy he was sick. I don't know if I told this story last week before, but as you're aware, if you've watched this podcast, I had screwed up the spelling on this little Latin phrase here and came up with a fix for it that I can't show you quite yet because obviously it's bandaged and just happened. But my tattoo guy was able to get me in. We fixed that, and we had a little bit of time left over, so I said, could we redo the outline around this hot pepper that I have on this arm? It's like a flaming hot pepper. Sometimes you see like the little stem of it sticking out depending on how tight a shirt I'm wearing on my videos. But he's like, we can color the whole thing, and he did, and it's amazing. It took no time at all, and it looks brand new. So hopefully you'll see those in some of the future videos, unless you're really anti-tattoo, in which case I'm sorry. It's what it is. Back on the topic of Thanksgiving, I had done pretty well up to a point on Thanksgiving. I did a full turkey breast that I brined and then smoked, and wowzers. It's the best turkey I've ever had. It was so moist, so tender, just the right amount of smokiness. And then we were going to do some Cornish hens on the rotisserie attachment on my grill, but my wife decided instead that she wanted to do a duck. So we did a smoked duck, and that was super tender, super yummy also. So largely I was sticking to plan. Things were all going well until pie came out. And my wife had purchased 3 different pies. There was four actually, I think. I think it was an apple pie. I know there was a blueberry pie because I had some blueberry pie. I know there was an Oreo pie because I had some Oreo pie. And I know that there was a pecan pie because I had some of that as well. I think I had 3 total pieces of pie, like not little baby slivers, not tastes. I went full out. And this is probably the first time in almost 4 years that I'm not going to say accidentally went off keto, but it was an unplanned event. Normally when I do it, there's probably only been 4 other times I've gone out of keto in the last 4 years. It was a planned special occasion. My plan was to stay on keto this Thanksgiving, and I didn't. And the reason I share that with you is just so you know that it's okay. If you also went off plan and decided to kind of get a little carby over Thanksgiving, it happens. And you know what? It's in the past now. So put it in the past, move on. That's what I'm doing. The downside to this, between going rather severe, and it wasn't like a good go off of keto. I mean, I should have just gone off keto the whole meal and not just dessert. But between that and then being sick, and then as a combination of those things, not working out for like 2 weeks. Well, I'd gone to Utah, so it's been a solid 2 weeks, maybe a little bit longer since I've worked out. I'm up between 5 and 10 pounds, but that should come off fairly quickly now that I'm starting to feel better and I can start working out and I'm back on the keto plan. And if you also went up a little bit over this little break, it happens. Like I said, it happens. Get back on the horse. We're all in this together. I had mentioned a moment ago that I have filmed and edited, and it's ready to go, this video on testing purple rice. This is going to be my last glucose testing video. And I think it's possible that both this segment and the segment I'm going to do in a second, I may have actually recorded this already in one of my podcasts. And I don't know if I deleted it out or not, because I looked at some of the timestamps on previous podcasts and I didn't see these 2 topics covered. So I think both of these are things I covered in a video, or I recorded in a video, but then cut out just to kind of keep things at a decent length on the podcast. So if I did, I apologize. But that video, the purple rice video, is going to be my last glucose testing video on things that, in my opinion, we shouldn't be trying to find a way to eat anyway if we're keto. So rice and pasta and stuff like that. I'm through with the resistant starch experiments. I feel like they're all sort of a bit of a slippery slope, at least for me. If I started finding a way to make pasta something that I could eat on a regular basis, I would just start eating it on a regular basis. And I don't think that that would be good for my body. I don't think that would be good for my inflammation. I don't think that would be good for my keto. So I'm not going to do those videos anymore. I always just feel like crap too after doing them. So I think those are done. Now I will still continue to do glucose testing on keto or keto products that advertise themselves as being keto, and maybe they are, maybe they aren't. But I'll continue to do those sort of as a public service for all of you. Be aware that if I'm ever reviewing a product and you don't see me do a glucose review, know that it's still happening. I'm still wearing a continuous glucose monitor, but if there's nothing to show, I'm not going to show anything. It's not going to happen. If However, I do see something. I will put it in the description or in the pinned first comment. That way you're aware that I did experience a glucose spike. But also, the other caveat or disclaimer that I throw out is we're all different. Some things may spike you that don't necessarily spike me, and vice versa. So take it as just one data point. The final topic that I'm going to cover in this video is, again, maybe one that I covered in a previous video. I'm not sure. And that is on the t-shirts and products that I sell both on Teespring, aka Spring. I think you can use either of those URLs to get out there, and Redbubble. I have removed the alcohol-related shirts that are out there because I just don't feel that that's congruent with me anymore. So there's one like with a little tumbler of bourbon and it said 0 net carbs, and one that shows like a donut and a glass of red wine and it says like, you know, choose wisely, something like that. I don't feel that that's part of who I am or who I want to portray myself as anymore. So I've removed those from both of those stores. On the subject of Serious Keto merchandise, though, two things I want to share. First is, in the coming year, so early next year, I'm going to design some more designs. That was redundant, but I'm going to create some more designs that I hope are fun keto designs, and maybe not specific to Serious Keto, but keto in general, or low carb. I've got a couple of different ideas for some shirts or coasters or whatever. The other thing to share with you about both Teespring and Redbubble is I have very limited control over the price. So if you get out there and you're like, wow, that's kind of expensive for a shirt, I can tell you that on Teespring, I reduced the recommended price level on every one of my products by probably 10 or 15%. In some cases more. But I periodically get emails from them saying they're readjusting my prices, and it's never in a downward direction. As far as Redbubble goes, if you get out onto my Redbubble store and just get out onto Redbubble, do a search on Serious Keto, I have no control at all over the prices. So I don't want you to think that I'm price gouging or anything like that. The margin is wicked slim on them regardless, but that's that. Oh, one final thing, and this is a shorter podcast here. If you're ever out on any of my playlists and you see something weird, like something that just doesn't belong, like especially if it's a toy-related video, Matchbox cars or maybe some Pokemon stuff or something like that, that is my grandson. That is Colton using my iPad to watch YouTube, and then sometimes he gets a little bit overzealous as he's poking at the screen and has been known to put some things into my playlists that don't belong. So if you ever see something odd in my playlist, please feel free to let me know in the comments of any video, because I see them all, and I will get that fixed. But that's going to be it for this shorter podcast this week. I'll be back tomorrow with that Keto Chow video, and back Friday with some sort of video. But that's it for this one. As always, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching.